Welcome to the Best Things Podcast. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials at Best Things Pod as well. Now, here are your hosts, Craig and Aaron.
Hello, Internet. Welcome into the Best Things Podcast. My name is Craig. His name is Aaron. And we got a good one, as Steve Harvey would say. Oh. We got ourselves a good one. We're not talking about game shows, though.
No, we did that one time.
We did that. I actually think we had a throwback last week. I don't know, whatever week we didn't record. And I think that's the one we put up.
You did that one?
Yeah.
Is that the one where we talked about the elephant on Price is Right?
Yes,
remember that?
It is.
They gave away. I think it was an elephant.
It was.
They gave away.
Welcome into the show, everybody. We are your hosts. If you have never watched this before and have no idea, we sit here, we talk about stuff for about 90 minutes. That's the episode.
You know, somebody told me the other day, it was a friend of mine. He was like, I saw your podcast pop up on my feed the other day for the first time. And he's like, I started listening to it and I saw it was 90 minutes. I was like, I ain't going to listen to that. I said, well, come on. Either.
What a friend.
Yeah, exactly. I said, do what I do and speed your podcast up.
You can, yeah. That's an option.
Or at the very minimum, click it and just let it play a little bit and give us 5 stars and share it and at least give us the
See, what I do with podcasts is I typically will I play it and say, like, I'm not. It's hard for me unless I'm driving for that length of time. I'm not usually consuming a whole podcast episode in one sitting. I start it, I listen to it. When I'm done cooking or mowing or doing laundry or whatever, I'll pick it up again next time I'm in the car. That's what I do.
Time out. You can do that for a podcast.
I do that. The minute you said time out.
But
yes,
with a movie, you can't just watch it in 2 or 3 segments.
I can't. I don't. It's a visual thing, I guess. I mean, I'm not doing it with video podcasts. I'm only doing it with audio.
Only with audio podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Well, it's like an audio book. I mean, you do it with an audio book too. You know.
Yeah.
You just kind of continue it on, but
that's what a movie is. It's a visual book.
But I mean, no, it's different. Like now, if it's like a narrative podcast that's telling a story and it's leading you somewhere and it's dramatic and there's music and sound, then I have to finish out the episode. But if it's just a conversation, I mean, when I'm watching a movie, I'm kind of getting mentally lost into this world. It's kind of hard to put yourself back in that place the next day. I can't just kind of.
I'm going to be honest. This really feels a lot like the way that I describe dipping cookies into milk and the thing that I have with, you know, it's not a consistent argument at all.
You know, I thought that I was normal, and I think I used to be, but the culture has shifted in such a way now that I think that I am starting to become in the minority in how I consume content these days, which is weird to me. Like I don't know. I guess it is like the cookies and milk, because for me, I'm like, I don't understand how this is not how most people prefer to consume content.
I mean, maybe I am in the minority of people that can do that, but are you listening to your podcast at a normal playback rate, or do you speed them up?
I can't
really?
Speed them up. I'll speed up an audiobook if I'm just trying to consume the content, but I can tell that it's faster, and it just bugs me. So yeah, I know people too that love to they'll do everything 2x speed, or at least time and a half, or time.
I'm usually at 1.75.
It feels so rushed to me, and I would much rather consume it at the appropriate speed.
To me, it depends on how fast the cadence of the person is speaking.
All. Yeah, that's very true.
You know, there are some people that I listen to that I can't go past 1.25 just because their natural cadence is so fast that they're already talking the speed, so I can't speed them up.
We should have fun sometime and talk either really fast or really slow, just for the people who are doing that.
And there are some people that I listen to so much at a 1.75 playback that occasionally I will hear clips of them at a normal speed. And I'm like, wait, that person does not talk like that. What is wrong with them?
So since I don't do it very often, I'm not sure of the setup. Does it save that speed on every podcast you listen to on your player?
Yeah.
So if you have it set and forget it, you don't even notice. You're not. See, I guess for me, I it annoys me so much that I'll go back to 1, and then all listeners are like, well, I need to get through this, so I'll put it up to 1.5, and I'm like, this is too fast. It's too fast. It sounds weird. But I guess if you're just used to it.
Yeah, I think if you're used to it, and as long as the person talking, I can comprehend what they're saying, because typically our normal conversation speed is faster than what a radio host
Yes, that's
might
true. Yeah.
talk about things.
If you're listening to an NPR podcast, like
Yes.
you are, you better go
Or
to.
if you're listening to an audio book,
Yes.
they read very slowly.
It almost one of my favorite segments back when we used to listen to radio was I don't remember who did it. I don't know if it was a local place or what, but they would do they would slow down clips of them, and it made it sound like they were drunk. So it was just normal conversations about, did you hear about that thing the other? It's just, oh man, it's so funny. But we're not talking about that either, believe it or not. We're talking about what Aaron and I are. You see?
Superstars.
Maybe not that. We're talking about duos, pairs, buddies, friends.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, I just did something to my ears, and I only hear it in one. Okay. Ooh, man. Wow.
He lost his hearing, folks.
That I hit my cord, and it kind of came out. Yeah, we're talking about famous pairs in TV and film. We are not in TV and film, but yet. Wouldn't that be weird if that was the call we got? Not, hey, we want to fund your podcast, but hey, you guys want to be in a movie? Boy, would they regret that. Can you act at all?
Talk about a flop at the box office.
Yeah. That would be straight to VHS, and they don't make those anymore.
No, I have never acted once.
Really?
Well, I take that back.
Kids plays or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember being a sheep in the manger scene for the birth of Jesus once as a kid. I think I was a shepherd at another time.
Yeah. I don't think I've done anything over the age of 20. I did some stuff as a teenager in my late teens, but okay. Yeah, we're talking about famous duos. This stems from, again, a lot of people ask us, how do you guys come up with your content, and how, what was the idea for the show? It's based out of our everyday conversations, and this is one we had through a text message. How long ago was it? I mean,
December.
Yeah, a couple months ago. And so we're bringing it to the pod now. And we had some debate in the text message, and I think we decided to save it. So, Aaron, are you ready to get into this thing?
Let's duo it.
Oh,
Before we can figure out the best thing, we have to talk about all the things. It's time for The Thing About the Things.
okay. So again, if you're new to the pod and you're listening 8.5 minutes into it, thank you. I promise you, if you liked the first 8.5 minutes, you're gonna really love the last 8.5 or the last hour and 10 minutes of this. We're going to talk about these things for a while, and then we're going to bracket them out, March Madness style, 1v1 to figure out which one is the best. And Aaron doesn't know this yet, but I have a bonus little segment we're going to do somewhere near the end of this. So stick around for that as well.
It is March.
It is March. We have made it.
We have made it to the month of madness.
The madness has begun.
We're not madnessing it up this year as far as our basketball team goes.
Yeah, by the way, you see some additions to the set here.
Right here.
Yeah, so we're repping our teams. There's just a little bit of Arkansas right now because we're not very happy with them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is going to be the first year in a several years that we have not. There's still a chance. There's still a chance.
It means that I can pick with my head come the bracket time instead of my heart this year.
Yeah. Every year. But that's hurt us both ways. Like our head knows that Arkansas, there's no way Arkansas is going to make it to the Sweet 16. And then they kept doing it. So we're talking dynamic duos in film and TV. And Aaron, why don't you lead us off? Lead off batter.
Ooh. All right. The one spot.
And you said you had these in categories.
I've got mine in categories.
So why don't we pick a cat? Why don't you pick a first category?
Okay,
We'll do that.
why don't we talk about cartoon and animated duos then?
I love
And
it.
I'm just gonna begin by rattling off some well-known duos.
Okay.
And then we can pick out the ones that we think are worthy of discussion, come back and talk about them, and then, of course, at whatever point one of us would like the duo, we'll smash the Taco Bell bell and put them on our list.
That's how we decide what makes the final 8. That bracket is throughout the episode. We add it. We draft it.
Okay. In no particular order, I've got Shaggy and Scooby,
Yes.
Tom and Jerry,
Iconic.
Fred and Barney,
Oh, I forgot about them.
Woody and Buzz. We're including TV and film in this,
Yes.
right? SpongeBob and Patrick, Snoopy and Woodstock, Bert and Ernie.
Would you consider them cartoon? Because I thought that whenever you said cartoon, I'm like, okay, hold on. They're not really animated, but they're Muppets.
I would consider that
okay.
in this genre.
Yeah.
I feel like they fit there better than they do somewhere else.
You could also, and okay, like you said, we'll dive into the details on some of these a little bit, but you could also include like Beavis and Butthead.
Yes. Shrek and Donkey.
Yeah, right. Rick and Morty. I have never seen an episode of Rick and Morty, but I know they're iconic.
Who?
Rick and Morty.
I don't even know
like an
that.
adult. It's like
Okay.
a Family Guy, Simpsons
Okay.
kind of cartoon.
Simpson, Bart and
See, that's a whole family unit. I don't know that there's
there's not a duo there.
There's not really a duo. I mean, you could pick, but I mean, I don't think there's just two that stand out. Same with like Family Guy. I mean, I haven't watched that in forever, but I mean, you might go Stewie and Brian with that, but
I saw Stewie and Brian listed on some lists. This one I haven't ever watched. I don't know anything about it. Mario and Luigi.
absolutely. Let me look through my list and see. If
In
there's-
fact, BuzzFeed, their article, they list Mario and Luigi as the number 3 best duo of all time.
really,
Yeah.
wow.
So pretty high ranking for them. They listed then Batman and Robin.
Which is the rare crossover.
I mean,
This is in every category.
I mean, you
pretty
have
much.
it in literature.
yeah.
You got it in the comics. You got it in.
Cartoon, live action, superheroes.
Yeah.
And what other categories did you have?
I had classic and modern, and you've
Both
got
of
it.
those.
I mean, you've got it.
yeah,
It checks off all the boxes.
every box.
So I think that you might give it some points for just being such a long lasting duo.
Agree.
They've been around. When did they come out?
Oh my
A
gosh.
good
I know
podcast.
we did.
Podcast host.
We did a whole Batman episode. I want to say the 30s. I want to say it was like 1936 or 8 was the original comic strip.
Yeah, I don't want to know when the movie came out.
And I want to say the first TV show maybe in the first one maybe in the 40s, and then the iconic one was what, 60s?
Yes.
We're doing Google searches.
No, I don't want to know about the film Batman and Robin. I would like to forget the film Batman and Robin.
Yeah, it was
awful.
It was not great.
It was terrible.
That was not a great adaptation of the two. That was Clooney, right? No, yes, that was Clooney. That was Clooney and Chris O'Donnell.
Yes.
I've heard that in James Gunn's DC universe, he in the first Batman film, he will be bringing Robin to the screen again.
May 1939 is when
Man, I was all over it.
Batman debuted in Detective Comics number 27. And then he had the spinoff title debuted in spring of 1940.
Wow.
So for a duo, I don't know, this didn't tell me, I didn't find and didn't take the time to find when Robin was introduced as a character.
Right.
But it's been a long-lasting duo. We can agree on that.
Yeah, they've been around forever. And again, they check every box. And I mean, Robin has been. Again, we're talking duos, so we've talked at length about Batman. Robin though has been hit or miss, strongly hit or miss, and it's very few hits. I mean, this iteration you see on the screen right now, this Robin was probably the most famous Robin. Outside of, I guess, if you're a Teen Titans fan, I know that's a thing.
What's that?
It's a kids show. It's a kids cartoon show. Robin's the main character in that because it's all the kids from.
The character of Robin first debuted in April of 1940, so he's been around pretty much as long as Batman has
since the beginning.
Yep, they've been together.
Ironically, the best iteration of Robin that I like is the one we never see, and it is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's potential Robin at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
Because they set him up as Robin, and then I guess it was by design because Nolan knew he wasn't going to do another one, but they just kind of, they left that juicy little nugget just sitting there, just never to be touched again, and that makes me angry.
The animated cartoon duo category.
Yeah. Let's go in depth on some of them.
Yeah. Who do you think reigns supreme?
Man, it is hard for me not to put these two high on the list.
Woody and Buzz. You said that you just watched Toy Story again the other night.
Yeah, we put it on the other day, and it holds up, man. It holds up strong. We watched the whole thing. I thought we were just going to be putting it on for our daughter, just to have it on for her. And me and Lauren just sat there and just watched the whole thing. It is so good. It holds up. These two start out as enemies and become best friends along the way. There's a little bit of yin and yang with it too, and I think that's what makes a lot of these duos so good is that they kind of counterbalance each other. You know, you've got one who's a little bit more, loose and fun. The other one's a little bit more stiff, and I think they're just a great iconic duo. And they're still making movies today, and TV shows. There's shorts and there's all kinds of stuff all over. Woody and Buzz is thrown up all over Disney Plus.
The market value of a cartoon duo, Woody and Buzz would have to be up there at the top, I would think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, there's few that I think would be above them.
How about Tom and Jerry?
Love Tom and Jerry. Since we've had I'm sure you're the same way. Since we've had kids, I've watched so many of these cartoons again. I mean, Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and stuff have just been on heavy rotation in our home. Tom and Jerry hold up.
BuzzFeed ranked Tom and Jerry number 7 as the greatest duo of all time.
And they are just straight up enemies, right?
I don't know.
Enemies?
I don't know. Is there a resolution to their relationship? Do they ever become friends at some point?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't ever remember them kind of setting their feelings aside and going and getting some cheese together.
There was a new Tom and Jerry movie in the last couple of years, wasn't there?
Yes, and it was terrible.
I never watched it.
Awful.
Okay.
It soiled the name Tom and Jerry.
Ooh.
It was terrible.
Okay. So that didn't give us any hope for...
No, it was just bad writing, and the acting in it was just kind of, subpar. You could tell it was just a cash grab for the actors. Their heart really wasn't into it.
Now, was this live animation or
it was the hybrid? It was kind of like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So it was like Tom and Jerry were like 3D, animation. And then they were in the human world. The weird thing was, if I remember, like there were other elements that were also cartoons. So it was like anything that could interact with Tom and Jerry was like a cartoon. It was kind of just a weird choice.
It was some of the best cartoon violence that exists.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, watching these two go at it, as far as cartoon violence goes, you've got Tom and Jerry and Roadrunner. Wiley, there's another duo.
And Roadrunner, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot about them.
Yeah, I forgot all about them.
Who is Bugs Bunny's?
See, and that's, I almost I wanted, when I saw Tom and Jerry, I thought, well, we got to put some Looney Tunes in there, but they all are so interchangeable. Now,
yeah.
I mean, again, they've been on rotation, so I've noticed that Porky and Daffy seem to be together a lot, and maybe Bugs and Elmer.
Yeah,
maybe together. Yeah. Those may be the pairings, but they also, Bugs is with Yosemite Sam and Elmer's with Daffy. I mean, they just all are so interchangeable that I don't know that you can elevate any of those as duos into.
And Bugs really carries the Looney Tunes
absolutely
cast
1,000%.
And the majority of that, or was it all of it, voiced by one man?
Yeah, Mel Blanc.
Blanc, yeah. He didn't even need a duo.
No,
He was
great.
he was great on his own.
He did so many of them.
Scooby and Shaggy.
Another just classic. They've crossed over into live action as well.
They have.
But they're not nearly as good as the classics.
You wouldn't want to watch Scooby-Doo, Where Are You, without Shaggy being in the show, I don't think.
No, I mean,
you need him.
he was the comic relief. Everybody else was a little bit dull and bland.
Yep.
And Scooby, I do not think would have been as good without Shaggy.
Nope.
He would have been solo bringing the comedy, but that back and forth really kind of made it what it was. So, I mean, yeah, they're on the list too.
Let me take one.
Okay.
I want to take Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that until you mentioned them. So I don't
gonna
have an image of them.
I'm going to steal them early and hope that that they make this.
Where would you like
Fourth.
them? So you're number 4.
But Barney and Fred, I know that they're not on this list. I don't even know if they
I didn't
made
see them
this
on any lists. Yeah.
I saw them on Rolling Stone had an article with Barney and Fred. And I forgot to write down where they were ranked. But from Rolling Stone, they did the top 50. And they made their top 50. But it reminds me so much of another duo that we'll talk about. And I may replace Barney and Fred
Really?
with this other duo from...
A similar time frame. Maybe they were probably earlier though, weren't they?
If we're thinking of the same people, yeah, probably so.
Because they were based off of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty much. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to ignore that, right?
Yeah, I think so. But just you've got Fred as this high-strung, high-anxiety, screaming, yelling, overbearing guy at times, and then Barney Rubble going along with some of his plans and his ideas.
Yeah. Aaron, if I was to ask you to sing or hum the theme song to the Flintstones, could you do it?
Yes, I don't know if I could remember all the words, but the tune definitely.
Yeah. You want to give us just a little bit to remind the listener? Yeah. Okay. Modern Stone Age Family. Yeah. Did you know though? I have realized this since going back and watching all these. That theme song did not debut till the end of season 3.
Really?
Yeah. So the first few, because I remember when I turned it on, I was like, wait, this isn't a normal Flintstones, because it was not the same theme music. And honestly, the vibe of the show is a little bit different. There was no really, Dino wasn't in it. For the first 2.5 seasons, it was a very different feel of a show. And so it must be all the stuff that I remember watching as a kid was much later seasons. That's when you get, his boss is in more involved.
Somebody.
It's not Sprocket. That's the Jetsons.
It's similar to Rockefeller, isn't it? Maybe it was Rockefeller.
It may have been play on the word there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the theme song, it was just kind of a generic, it sounds like, just kind of a royalty-free music to start out with, and they didn't do a theme song to the end.
Was it black and white in the beginning?
If it
was
was,
always
they've colorized, because
Okay.
none of the ones I watched were black and white. But they're great. They are very iconic for sure. What about where were they?
Snoopy and Woodstock.
Snoopy and Woodstock.
Again, if you're talking market value, Snoopy's still extremely popular.
Very high.
Apple is cranking out original Snoopy content these days.
It used to be marketed as Charlie Brown and blank, a Charlie Brown Christmas, a Charlie Brown this, but Snoopy is the star of the show, hands down.
Yeah. To be Charlie Brown, Snoopy is the star.
He is the star.
I don't know about... I see Snoopy and Woodstock listed so much as an iconic duo, but do you really think that they are?
They're always together. I mean, they're always... Anytime Snoopy's doing stuff, that's his buddy that's with him,
It is, but
When the cutaway from the kids doing what they're doing just on Snoopy when he's doing
what
his little
value does Woodstock add to the show?
I mean, very little. So, I mean, as a duo, they may rank pretty low, but it's hard not to include them on this list.
Well, you're right. BuzzFeed has them ranked number 8.
And by the way, that article of BuzzFeed has the 3D version. I had to make sure to put the OG 2D.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the
And
3D
hopefully you guys are able to see this okay on the screen. We're still working.
to get the bugs out.
Yeah, we're getting the bugs out. Last episode we did, everything was like super blown out. So, but they're pretty high on that list.
SpongeBob and Patrick?
Were you ever a SpongeBob person?
Nope.
Neither was I.
I know that they're very well known, though.
They are very well known. They've taken over NFL games when they're on CBS. Nickelodeon will have their own broadcast that they host. But I mean, I think that was before or after the time of me watching cartoons, and it's just kind of stupid. Like the stuff I've seen of it, it's just very stupid.
Not the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one that is from your time. Bert and Ernie.
Yeah. Bert and Ernie. So, again, are they a cartoon? No, but
It's children's programming.
it's children's programming. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely grew up. I had, and it's in my daughter's room right now because we handed it down to her. I had a Bert doll. It was a puppet. It was about that big, felt everything, looked just like Bert. And I carried that thing around apparently when I was like 2 and 3 years old. So much the arm fell off.
Oh, wow.
And it was tattered to pieces. My mom was able to reattach the arm for my daughter. But Bert and Ernie, man, they are, I hate to say they're the best part of Sesame Street, but they kind of are.
A bunch of people grew up with these guys.
Absolutely. Rubber Ducky song?
They
Rubber Ducky, you're the one.
They are very much like the Odd Couple.
Very much so.
Felix and Oscar.
Absolutely.
They've got that vibe
Yes.
to them. So it's hard. BuzzFeed, from this article again, they have them in their top 5. They're number 5
Yeah.
iconic duo of all time. From what I can tell, I was looking at another one from Screen Rant. They did the top 15. They did not include Bert and Ernie in their top 15.
Wow.
Rolling Stones had them ranked number 4. So that's 2 major sites, Rolling Stone and BuzzFeed, saying these are top 5 characters.
I'm looking here at the bracket, and I haven't hit a button yet
I noticed that.
because I'm wondering, like, do we want to break them down by category? Because it feels weird to have Bert and Ernie go up against, somebody like they're not going to be on here, but a Daryl Dixon and Rick Grimes. Like that feels weird in the first rounds. Or do we just want to keep the normal format? Because I feel like I need to pick a cartoon, but I'm like, should I?
Yeah, that's a good question. Mull that over for a second.
Okay.
While I mention the other thing about Sesame Street was there were some other duos on the show. Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Okay, they were not Sesame Street though. They were Muppets. The Muppet Show was different than Sesame Street.
Yes, but all characters of Jim Henson, I
Yes,
guess.
okay.
Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah, you're right.
Big Bird and
I don't know that he had a partner.
did he have a partner?
Big Bird was-
Snuffleupagus.
I don't know that they were. I wouldn't consider them a duo though.
Yeah, they were together a lot, I think, weren't they?
I don't know.
Oscar and
I mean, like, yeah, Oscar. You got Elmo. You got Cookie Monster. You got Grover. I mean, they were, and then you go to the Muppet side. You've got the Beaker Boys.
yeah,
I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
but those two. You had the two old
guys that sit up there.
Yeah, I mean, those were some duos, but I don't know. I don't think any of them come close to Bert and Ernie. Bert and Ernie are absolutely the top of that pyramid.
You think so?
Absolutely.
You think Bert and Ernie are a better duo than Kermit and Miss Piggy?
Yes,
Really?
I do.
I think Kermit's more popular than Bert and Ernie.
I agree with that. And Piggy may be also, but they Kermit did not want anything to do with Miss Piggy for so long.
He didn't.
He rebuffed her time and time again. At what point does Miss Piggy become a stalker that we need to worry about and call somebody on?
You're not wrong. Okay, yeah. So Bert and Ernie, probably the best of the Muppet style characters.
Yeah.
The best duo.
I think so.
Okay. All right. I'm deferring to you on how we're gonna do this bracket.
I don't know. I really don't know. Because I mean, if we do that, we only get to pick one each from each of these categories, and that feels hard. You want to just see where the bracket lands and see if we can rearrange later if we need to. So let's just do that.
It's our bracket and it's our show. We can do what we want.
What's the next category? Or were there any else in?
That's all I had for cartoons.
Okay.
Unless there was anybody else that you had.
I'm going to mention you seem staunchly against Bluey, but hey, Bluey verse. All right, you got to talk about Bandit and Chili. The parents we all wish we were. Bluey and Bingo. Anyway, so I had to throw that in there. I know.
I had another friend this morning. I sent you the picture of that shirt that he sent. He's like, man, I wish I had this.
Yeah.
I don't understand all of your obsessions.
Bluey is great, man. It's
with this.
It's so good. Me and Lauren just sit there and watch it.
We're still a holdout. We have not watched it. I'm sure maybe we will at some point.
Yeah, you got to get on the Bluey bandwagon. What the next category?
Oh, one other I was going to mention was Steve and Blue.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty iconic duo that fits in this category.
Absolutely.
And it's human interacting with animation.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're missing some. I know we are. I just can't think of what they would be.
Yeah. Okay.
Next category is...
Let's talk classic TV and films.
Okay.
Classic TV and films.
This is going to be your time to shine because we said right before we hit record, like I don't watch a lot of, I've seen a lot of these, but I don't regularly watch them very often.
So in my mind, a lot of these characters I feel like could fill a bracket just with how iconic they are.
Maybe that's what we should have done these as individual episodes instead of one big thing.
Again, I'm just going to list off some here.
Okay.
Abbott and Costello.
Iconic.
Felix and Oscar.
Also very iconic.
Andy and Barney.
Also iconic.
Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock.
They're a crossover, you know. There's modern interpretations of them. I would say you could almost count them as the hero genre as well.
See, that's where I was torn on where to put them.
Yeah, I don't know that they're superheroes, but they definitely fit in that category.
I guess it could have been like a sci-fi category.
Yeah. Yeah, those two are definitely legendary.
And especially though, the reason I put Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock under classic TV is because of William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
I think that those two people
those are the best iterations
embodied
of
their
those two.
characters.
Absolutely. I mean, you had Chris Pine and
what? Yep.
I just said it before I said it, or I just thought it before I said it. Oh my gosh. Played Scholar on Heroes.
Yep. It's on the tip of my
his
tongue.
Name. What is his name? It's going to drive me crazy.
Rolling Stone has... What? I like that song by Spock. I have to add Spock to my playlist.
Keep talking.
Rolling Stone lists Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock from Star Trek as the 5th best duo of all time. They say that and again, we talked about the personalities of how characters can play off of each other. These guys
Zachary Quinto.
never would have remembered that in 1,000 years. But I knew, because I was thinking the Heroes guy.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. I wasn't listening to anything you were saying, so you were just talking to the people.
Well, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I mentioned how we had discussed a few minutes ago how you have the different the different style of each character and how they play off each other.
Yeah.
And with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, you definitely have that. I mean, you've got a guy who's human and you have a guy who's Vulcan.
And they set the tone for those characters. I think it was a lot more about their character traits that crept into those two than it was the writing. Leonard Nimoy is very, I don't know a lot about his history, so Trekkies don't come after me, but like I'm assuming he was probably, he appears to be like a theater guy in his previous career. And so he's very stoic and very serious and very to the point, even in the stuff I've seen or interviews I've seen from him afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was portraying something very different. And then obviously Shatner is Shatner. Like, he's that same guy and everything. And so to me, when you have these different iterations of these characters, they're, Zachary Quinto and Chris Pine, they are acting and embodying what those two already laid the groundwork on. They created those characters.
They did. And Star Trek really launched those two guys into their careers
Absolutely.
and into history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we remember, I think, both of them for that role, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
And as Rolling Stone mentions, they say that the way that their relationship worked, you can see that across different genres, from people like Obi-Wan and Anakin to Iron Man and Captain America, that the way that duo just worked.
Right.
And for that reason, it's top 5 in Rolling Stone's estimation.
Yeah.
And they may not be wrong.
It's
I want to hit the button.
I know there are so many duos. It's hard to hit the button early, but at the same time, I'm doing it.
Okay.
I'm taking Kirk because I forget that we can roll people off the bracket.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take them. I'm going to put them at 4 right now.
Okay. Spock and Kirk at 4.
Kind of want to put them at 3. I'm going to put them at 3. For now. They could roll down to 4. They're right on the line for me. They're on the bubble.
Let me give you a couple other classic TV duos that I wanted to get to. Joe Friday and Bill Gannon from Dragnet.
Okay.
I'm trying to, let's see, Rolling Stone ranked them the 18th best duo of all time. This was, and there's been a few iterations of these characters, but a 60s LA police show set. Joe Friday's just such a very dry, as his famous line is, just the facts. That's the kind of individual that he was. And then you had Bill Gannon's character that was a little, he would crack some jokes and things like that. But to watch them as the good guys in the 60s LA police drama, they did a fantastic job. I like their duo. The one that I wanted to sort of mention earlier, Ralph Cramden and Ed Norton from a show called The Honeymooners.
Yes.
That Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone are based off of.
They have to be just copied and pasted.
It's the animation version of those two guys.
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason as Ralph Cramden is one of the greatest performances.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, this was a show from the, I don't know, 40s to 50s.
It's got to be 40s.
It's an early one. I mean, this one predates things like the Andy Griffith Show, I Love Lucy, a lot of those. This one's a little
never
earlier.
got close to color.
No. It didn't sniff color at all. But Jackie Gleason is this New York City bus driver.
Yeah, he's a blue collar guy. Working
again,
hard.
high stress,
Yeah.
scream and yell. And Ed Norton is this goofy sanitation worker that goes along with some of Ralph's schemes and plans.
Mm-hmm.
And then he frustrates Ralph because of how dumb he is at times.
Yeah.
And the way that they just play off of each other.
Yeah.
Again, Jackie Gleason was phenomenal.
He was phenomenal. Yeah.
But Ed Norton, the character, is, I mean, you have to have both of them in that show.
You do. You really do.
You don't
have
want to just watch a show of Jackie Gleason screaming, I'm going to send you to the moon.
Yeah. Pow!
You know,
The good
yeah.
sir. Which, by the way, that phrase has obviously come under fire in the last 10, 15 years.
Right.
But actually watch the show. That's one of the things for a lot of
Yes.
those old ones. People want to scream and shout and say, well, this is insensitive. Watch the show. Nobody cares more about his wife than Jackie Gleason's character.
Yeah.
He loves her so much, and he would do anything. That's why a lot of these schemes happen, is to make her happy. And so just calm down, cancel culture, for just a second.
I was watching an
Sure,
episode.
poor choice of words maybe, but the intent is
Right.
love.
I was watching an episode of it recently where Ralph thinks that she's cheating on him. And he is bound and determined to find this guy that is trying to steal his wife from him. And best I can remember, she was kind of in on this. I don't remember what he had done, but he had done something. So she's kind of in on egging this on a little bit. But you can definitely tell that when he thinks that somebody is after his wife, he's going to find this guy and he's going to send this guy to the moon.
Yeah, they're great.
And this is one of the early early TV duos.
You also think very early, you think of these two guys.
Yeah, Abbott and Costello.
Abbott! Again, iconic.
Wow.
Were they they were right around the Honeymooners, maybe before.
Yeah, they may have been a little bit before.
Because they did radio stuff
They
before they moved into film and TV. The Who's on First is still one of
all-time
the
greats.
all-time greatest comedic sketches in history. Like, you ask any comedian today, that is still at the top of the list when it comes to the best comedy there ever has been. It's hard to be topped.
The two of them joined up for their first radio broadcast in 1938.
Wow.
So
They predate Batman.
a long time. A long time.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They had like variety shows and that kind of stuff. A lot of sketch. It was sketch comedy. That was essentially what it was. There may have been longer narratives attached to it, but it was essentially sketch stage comedy.
I can promise you, as you look at comics and comedy actors, things like that exist today, they go back to people like this.
Absolutely.
For the influence that they had on the industry.
Yeah.
They're an all-time great. Who did you take? You took Spock and Kirk.
Took Spock and Kirk.
Man.
I'm very tempted to take them.
Okay, here's one I don't think that I mentioned yet, and this is where a little bit of our debate began.
Yeah.
And it revolves around I Love Lucy. So you have Lucille Ball, hands down the star of the show.
The star. Yeah.
But
It's called I Love Lucy for a reason.
yes, you've got two duos in the show. Really,
do. So you've
got three duos in the show.
You do. I would say Ricky and Fred,
They're third.
least, absolutely the least. And Ricky and Velma never really, for probably good reason. Ricky and Velma and Fred and
Ethel.
Lucy. What did I say? Wilma?
Yeah, it's Fred Flintstones.
Yeah. So Ricky and Ethel and Fred and Lucy, they never really have a lot of
just-
alone time.
yeah,
For
very
obvious reasons.
very short interactions.
This is still back in
Lucy and Ricky don't sleep in the same bed together.
Yeah, so
they're sleeping in separate
there's
beds.
not going to be a lot of interaction with the opposite gender there. But you've got Lucy and Ricky.
You've got Lucy and Ricky, who were married in real life.
Yes.
Then you have Lucy and Ethel. Now, this is the one that most lists say is the iconic duo.
And this was my stance.
That's your stance.
that this is the more iconic duo.
You may be right, you may be right. I said, let's also talk about Lucy and Ricky, though, because their dynamic is just absolutely phenomenal as well.
It's a great dynamic. I'm not disputing that.
And reading in a couple of years ago, I read Ricky's, I believe it was his autobiography, and I think it was an autobiography of Lucy, or it may have been a biography that her daughter had written. But just to read about their two lives and everything that made the show what it was. These two real life people, Ricky and Lucy, wow.
Yeah. Just what they did.
And on camera, the way that they could go back and forth with his Cuban, he would flub words,
right,
phrases.
A lot of that was actually happening.
Yeah,
improvised by Lucille Ball.
A ton of improv stuff.
I mean, it was just
in this show,
just incredible chemistry.
And again, I think something that a lot of people that are in the acting industry today would look at. You talk about physical comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Lucille Ball and physical comedy go hand in hand. I mean, she wanted to be involved with doing. I think of physical comedy, I think of Lucille Ball first and foremost. I mean, she just constantly, we have the picture of her and Ethel in one of the most iconic episodes of I Love Lucy.
When you talk about like Abbott and Costello and the Who's on First, when it comes to comedy legends, this scene right here is also incredibly high on that list as well.
Just them stuffing chocolate into their mouths.
Because you can't act that. Like,
oh no.
That has to be done.
This is...
Their reactions are genuine to a degree.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they know it's coming and they know what's going to happen, but them legitimately trying as hard as they can to keep up is genius.
And it was one of Ricky's insistences that they filmed this in front of a live studio audience. Mm-hmm. The entire cast thrived on that crowd sitting there watching what was going on, and they were working to make that crowd react the way that they did.
We've got on our list over here, we'll show y'all at some point, we'll post it. We have a whole list on a whiteboard over here of different topics that we're not even close to being done, y'all. We're going to go on for years. But one of those is sitcoms, and we got like classic sitcoms and one of the things that I miss, and I love TV. I think we had been in a great era of TV. I think the era of TV seems to be dwindling just a smidge. One of the things I miss, though, are the live studio audience shows.
Yeah.
It seems like they've taken the studio audience out of it and just thrown in a laugh track because it's easier on the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back a live audience. That makes TV, the sitcom, it makes it so much better because then it becomes a real genuine performance.
Yes.
And you feed off that energy. Comedy needs people to feed off of.
Exactly.
There's very few that have really, The Office is a great example. Parks and Rec, sure, they exist, but when you're talking,
by and large, the audience participation, having that back and forth,
especially when it's more just your one-liner comedies.
Yeah.
If it's something that needs to build and grow and there's inside, sure. But if it's those one-liner heavy hitters, you need to feel it. You need that audience in there. And those two, when it came to that, like Lucy obviously again carried the show and carried the energy of the crowd. You can tell, but the whole cast did a great job, and the physical comedy between Lucy and Ethel is just, to me, heavily outweighs because they were more slapstick. Ricky, Desi Arnaz's character, he was much more
serious.
Yes, he was the straight man in it.
There were, yes, very much so. And so I think that may be why I'm going to go ahead and agree with that, and I'm going to go ahead and take
that's a good pick,
Lucy and Ethel.
Where would you like them?
I want them number 2.
Okay.
I think. Just the situations that Lucy and Ethel would find themselves in. And it was always something ridiculous. And it was always for Lucy's scheming.
Right. Yeah.
And just Ethel's, and a lot of times she was unwilling, and Lucy just would drag her along into it. Like, no, you have no other option. You're doing this as well.
She just didn't have a choice.
And some of my favorite episodes are when they went to when they take the cast and they take the show from New York City and they go to Hollywood because Ricky's filming a movie, and then you have all these interactions with people like John Wayne and Cary Grant and just some of the biggest stars of Hollywood's day at that time that they would bring into the show and use for, just cameo appearances.
Absolutely.
And Lucy was always getting into trouble. I mean, she dumped salad on top of I just went blank. Bill somebody's head. She stole John Wayne's footprints from a Chinese theater.
Right.
Just over and
Shenanigans.
over all the time.
They could rename the show Shenanigans and it would work.
But my favorite may be Andy and Barney.
Yeah. We got to talk about them.
And what you said really did not sit well with me. You said,
yeah, read the receipt because I don't remember.
Let me pull it up.
Because this is what triggered the whole thing. This is what got his goose all up in a gander. That's the same thing. What's the same?
It's a gander of geese, right? I said Andy and Barney were probably the best duo of all time. No contest. You said they're not even top 10. You said they don't even deserve to be on this bracket.
I said what I said.
That's what you said. That's what Craig said. He said what he said.
They're great. For me, though, and I'm talking about me, I think there's many more better ones.
Okay. A show, again, I think probably is a little more well-known than I Love Lucy.
For loving them so much, you haven't even hit a button on them yet. I mean,
I haven't. I didn't figure I was in any danger of you taking them. So
you think, okay, hold up. You think Andy Griffith's show is more popular than I Love Lucy?
I do.
I would disagree with that. I think more people far and away know I Love Lucy more than Andy Griffith's show.
No, not a chance.
I wish there was a way to know.
Not a chance.
I mean, hold on. You got to take for a second that we live in the South. So obviously there's going to be a lean toward Andy Griffith. I'm talking nationwide. I'm talking even globally. I think Lucy far outweighs Andy Griffith. I just do. I think probably here in the South, yeah, we probably lean toward Andy Griffith because that's what we most closely associate with. That's what the culture is like down here. North Carolina, Arkansas, they're kissing cousins. But I think if you were going to do a nationwide poll, more people would probably know about Lucy and more people would probably prefer the show I Love Lucy.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how we determine this other than some major poll. My only interaction recently is mentioning something about I Love Lucy to a few Gen Zers that had no idea what I was talking about, but they did get Andy Griffith show references. They knew Andy and Barney. Again, incredibly small sample, but
Right.
The Andy Griffith show was based on a real town in North Carolina, Mount Airy, North Carolina. I have been there. The entire town is devoted to the Andy Griffith show. It's an amazing town to go to. There is no town for the I Love Lucy
No,
show.
but that was a real couple. You know,
It was-
you said
it
so
was a
yourself.
real-
They were a real couple who did real things.
Andy Griffith portrayed himself in the show.
A fictionalized version. He had the
fictionalized
same
version,
name.
yes.
That's just it. The same name.
But then, and the reason I say this is because Andy Griffith continued to have such an impact be on the Andy Griffith Show.
So did Lucille Ball. She had the Lucy Show. She had so many different variety hours and stuff like that.
But up into modern day, you've had Matlock.
Well, she
died. One of the great. She didn't die that long ago, though. I mean, he's obviously outlived her.
Significantly longer than Andy Griffith.
Andy and Barney both have continued to have an impact into the modern era. So I say that's why I think that more people are familiar with Andy Griffith or Don Knotts.
Do you think it has to do with the show, or do you think it just has to do with their talent? They're both incredible actors. I mean, obviously you have Ron Howard coming from it as well.
Yes.
So it was just to happen to be a great collection of talent.
But again, this is one of those things where I think that I was reading a book on Andy and Don Knotts after we went to Mount Airy, North Carolina a couple years ago. And just to listen to the relationship described between the two of them. What made the show so great? It wouldn't have been what it was without Don Knotts, and he's the comedian, he's the funny man.
It's true, yeah. They're both funny in their own right, but Don Knotts is obviously the
This show always it was teaching character. It taught morals. You've got the family dynamic to it. Just overall, I think that it was.
It's a great show. I'm not disparaging it at all. I just don't think that it is. I don't think it's I Love Lucy. I think if you're going to rank them, I think it comes in behind them. We need to know what you guys think. Okay, we'll throw this up on TikTok, and so I'm curious to know, no matter what your generation is, which one is the better show? Which one have you heard of more? I Love Lucy or the Andy Griffith Show? Because we'd just be very, very curious to know which one. The best global sample size we have is you. And so let us know, comment which one you like the most, which one you recognize the most, I Love Lucy or the Andy Griffith Show. And that way we'll know. One way or another we'll know.
I'm not hitting my button yet. I may still come back and take these guys because I do feel like my heart tells me that that's the best. But since you don't even think that they belong in the bracket, I'm left with like, okay, it's not gonna advance very far. So, all right, my last category that I had was modern TV and film.
Well, hold on.
Oh, you had some others.
Well, okay. I just need to know how far. What's our range here when it comes to classic TV and movie? Because
I was putting classics like 80s and earlier.
80s and earlier,
and I was saying kind of 90s. I was modern, I guess.
Okay, I'm trying to look. Okay, so if we're
I think the 80s could be a sort of that dividing line somewhere in there,
because I have a few in that dividing line.
Yep.
So 70s, 80s ish.
I think 70s is definitely classic. The 80s, I think it might depend on what it was.
Well, then I got two. Then if we're including TV and movies, we got to talk Star Wars then.
Oh yes, yeah.
So you got Han and Chewie, and you've got C-3PO and R2-D2. Which one of those? Narrow down those two.
Han and Chewie.
They're the better duo?
Han and Chewie, better duo.
These two are always together.
They're together.
There's not a lot of dialogue here, though.
You never know what R2's saying. Unfortunately, you don't know what he's saying. I mean, I have them both. Out of the... We were talking earlier about all the bobbleheads I have. I've got those two bobbleheads on my shelf at my office. I don't have Han and Chewie, but I would say that Han and Chewie were the better duo.
They are obviously, these two are robots. They don't have souls. These two are life forms. I was supposed to say human. But they have soul. They have friendship. They care about each other. You look at, spoiler alert, the latter parts of the series when Han dies, Chewie takes it hard, So these are obviously very close beings to each other. They care deeply about each other. They're with each other thick and thin through it all.
For the record, I said that you can't understand anything that R2 is saying. You can't understand anything Chewie's saying either. So I don't know that argument really holds up here.
but it's
You
like,
do have one real human though.
But R2 is just it's just
They're both robots. They're programmed.
You can get the inflection in Chewie's voice.
Yeah.
There's emotion
feel
there.
it.
You know if he's happy or if he's sad or if he's mad or if he's confused.
And as I was mentioning to you right before we recorded, we just finished watching Solo again for the first time in, I don't know, maybe since it came out. And you get the backstory of Han and Chewie. And I think that's what a lot of it is. How Han rescues Chewie.
Yeah.
And that relationship that develops. And Han even turns him loose and says, go be with the other, go be with the rest of your people,
Yeah.
And he chooses Han.
He chooses his own tribe.
So
he chooses his tribe.
No, you're definitely right that they deserve to be mentioned. You gonna do it? You gonna take them?
I don't know.
From 1977 through today,
Yeah, I want to take him.
they've been a combination. That's a pretty long run.
I'm moving Spock and Kirk to 4, and I am putting, I'm putting Han and Chewie at 2. For now. I don't remember when this came out, but I feel like it's an 80s movie. What about Thelma and Louise? Is that 80s or 90s?
It was not 90s, I don't think.
Okay. I think it was 80s. It may have been 70s.
I was going to say 70s, possibly.
Thelma and Louise.
1991. Wow.
I don't have a lot to say about this, but they are obviously iconic.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen the movie?
Never seen it.
I saw it back in the 90s.
So why would we talk about just a single movie?
I'm going to be honest with you. We talk a lot about dudes, and we just got to give the girls some credit. Like, this is just a highly famous girl duo, so just gonna give them their flowers.
Okay.
Also, what about Laverne and Shirley?
Laverne and Shirley was one that I thought was worthy of mentioning.
Yeah.
Also in the classic category, I was going to mention Dick Van Dyke and
Yes.
Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah. And I kept wanting to say, every time I said I Love Lucy, and I was refraining from saying Dick Van Dyke because I like Dick Van Dyke way better than Andy Griffith also. I put that, for me, of those three, Andy Griffith is third on that list. Yeah. But I would put probably Dick Van Dyke, maybe that show, ahead of Lucy. I love Dick Van Dyke show.
It's great.
It is so
and
funny.
again, Dick Van Dyke with his physical comedy
Yeah.
is wonderful.
He was just a great human being.
You get some for its time. There is quite a bit of sexual tension.
Yeah.
Between
Weren't they
Rob Petrie
first
and Mary
show
Tyler.
to have the couple in bed together?
So they started out separately,
Right.
and during the course of the show, they moved together and slept in the same bed. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they were the first TV couple to be seen sleeping together.
I feel like they were also the first to incorporate have a toilet on camera.
Really?
But I may be wrong. That's rattling around in the back of my brain somewhere, but I could be off on that. Okay, I think we can creep into the modern era. I've got some 90s things on here, but if you consider that modern, then I'll save it for just a little bit.
Yeah, I think 90s goes in the modern era.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have anything else classic that I was going to talk about. I threw away Felix and Oscar and just mentioned them as I went through the list, but
They're iconic.
iconic duo.
Yeah. And they brought that
and you
back,
got the modern interpretation with
which
Matthew
was
Perry.
great. I really was mad they canceled that show.
Yep.
Matthew Perry, can we talk about him for just a second?
Yeah.
Because, well,
Let's go into the modern era and go ahead and talk about Matthew Perry.
Matthew Perry, obviously for Friends, you had Chandler and Joey, and this is where this conversation started for me. Because when I think of, and I'm taking them, when I think of dynamic duos, best friends in TV and film, I immediately go to Chandler and Joey from Friends. And so much so that I'm going to make them my number one. And Matthew Perry, though, obviously rest in peace. But he was so good in so many different things, but never seemed to catch fire post Friends. Would you agree with that? He had the couple of movies, the 9 Things. What was it? 9 Things I Hate About. No, that wasn't it. I don't remember what the movies were called. He had a 9 and a 10, whatever they were. He had several shows. He had Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. I still say
You were always a huge fan of that.
I freaking loved that show. It lasted one season, and to me, if I'm looking at shows that deserved longer, that is absolutely one of them. He had one sports show called Get On, I think, or something like that. Again, it only lasted a couple of seasons. He had several different TV shows that seemed to only last a couple of seasons. Several guest appearances on shows like The West Wing and Scrubs, and the list goes on. But then he did The Odd Couple, which lasted probably the most successful post-Friends show he had. It lasted maybe 3 seasons.
That's what I was going to say. 2 or 3.
And it was great, but you could obviously tell that was toward the end of kind of his life in acting. The way I describe it is it felt like he had gotten beat down so many times that, he just he did a great job, but you could tell like the spark in his eye was gone a little bit when it came to acting at that point.
Yeah.
But Chandler and Joey, man, are iconic. Everybody loves Friends. To me, they're one of obviously the top 2 to me, dynamic duos in film and TV.
I don't know that I remember seeing them on lists.
Really?
I don't.
I'm pretty sure I saw them on some lists.
Maybe I overlooked them. Okay, there they are. They're number 11 on BuzzFeed. Maybe on Rolling Stones. I sure don't remember seeing them there. There's several from the modern category that I want to take, but I'm afraid that it's being a prisoner of the moment too much.
Yeah, and that's been my struggle this whole time. I'm like, I know they're like, but recency bias is a thing, and so
that's why I want to put some of these classic characters that are on there, but it's hard not to get into the shows that you're more familiar with in your age.
It's true. But you know what? This is our podcast, so we can do what we want to do.
So let me go ahead and take a modern one right now.
Okay.
And I want to take Michael and Dwight.
Of course.
Michael Scott and Dwight Kurt Schrute. Michael Gary Scott.
Where would you like these 2 titans of industry? You have, if you're not moving anything,
I'm
you have
going to
1
put them
3.
number 1.
Okay.
I'm going to put them number 1.
How many Office references have we made on this show? Too many to count.
That's what he said.
This is
as far as people on my shelf, bobbleheads. Well, they're not bobbleheads. It's those. I'm pointing to the wrong side. I could never be a weatherman on TV. I don't know where I'm pointing. I'm turning around. This thing right here. The pop deal.
pop figures.
I have Michael and Dwight on my shelf. We've talked about how their personalities in duos are so different. You've got Michael, who is the idiot.
They're both idiots. Let's be honest.
They're both idiots.
They're both idiots.
One is just a funny idiot, and the other is a serious idiot.
Yeah.
And watching them play their part. And my favorite thing is to go watch bloopers from the show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To watch them cause each other to break.
Yeah.
That's when you really see the genius of how good Steve Carell and Rainn Wilson were in their characters.
And that's why whenever Steve Carell leaves the show,
it was never the same.
That dynamic was just gone, and it wasn't the same, for sure.
You talk about friendship, though. Dwight Schrute was loyal to a fault.
Yeah, it was mostly a one-sided friendship for a long time.
Michael was always... He was the taker in that relationship.
Absolutely.
For sure. He was a user.
Yeah.
he used Dwight so many times, but ultimately Michael cared about Dwight.
Absolutely.
And you see that reflected. And then when he comes back for the finale of the show,
yeah,
just for Dwight's wedding.
Yeah.
And you see that relationship, even though for many times it was one-sided.
But I still have beef with that episode.
Okay.
I don't like how the episode ends. Michael's not there at the end.
At the end,
Like he makes that appearance, he does that thing, and you expect when they all go back to the office
that Michael's there.
you expect him to be there and that he would be part of that last scene, and he's not. He dips out. Like he doesn't really even get a goodbye. He just kind of fades off in the episode.
I'm listening to the Office Ladies podcast, and they are currently in season 9 right now. So we're coming to the finale of the show, and I'm waiting to hear them talk about that. And they do a fantastic job of giving behind the scenes information of what was going on, and talking with Greg Daniels and Paul Lieberstein, and then bringing on different actors that were on the show and really telling you what went into the making of The Office. And it's been such an important show to so many people for a long time now. I mean, it's what, been 20 years since the show came out almost?
That's hard to believe.
So
We're getting old.
I'm hoping to get some answers to why they made that choice. And I'm sure there was some reason. Maybe it was scheduling something with Steve Carell.
It was probably something simple like that. But it still is, as a fan, it's infuriating to know that you could have had this incredible ending. You could have had this thing happen, and it just didn't happen. I didn't get the closure I really wanted, I didn't get the finale that I really wanted.
But I think that as far as modern shows go, The Office is as big a show as there has been. And it is now going into its second and a third generation of people are coming up that are going to be watching.
And they're releasing these super fan cuts, and it just keeps growing and growing.
But without Michael and Dwight,
the show doesn't do well. I mean, there's a reason it's so much better than the UK version. Sorry to all our UK listeners. And
Ricky Gervais is great.
The show's great, but it doesn't hold a candle.
No.
Because of that dynamic right there.
Yeah.
And you could argue that Jim and Dwight is right there, right behind them.
You're right behind them. When you talk about frenemies,
absolutely.
There you go.
They are absolutely frenemies. I mean, the prank war between those two is something you aspire to. And I wish I had that relationship.
And it's their run goes all 9 seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you get them all 9 seasons instead of just through 7 with Steve Carell. And in the end, Michael or Dwight and Jim are friends.
Yeah. They lean on each other
as much as they can't stand each other, but you watch them grow throughout the time together. And so it's I almost wanted to say, I'm going to put Jim and Dwight on the list, but they're
very close
second.
Speaking of modern iconic TV, I'm going to mention Walt and Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to put them at number 3. Obviously, Breaking Bad was a groundbreaking show. No pun intended. But one of the best shows on TV in the 2000s, right? It wasn't 2010s.
Oh, I think it was.
Was it? I know it was.
Unless I'm just getting old.
That's it's hard to do. I want to say that like the finale may have been like 20, maybe the finale was like 2011, 2012, something like that. But I want to say it was out the same time The Office was on.
2008 to 2013.
Okay. So both.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just iconic. The first, it started, we've said this before on the show, but it started out as, it was supposed to be a dark comedy. It was supposed to be this very dark comedy. That's why you had these two guys with the lead roles. Bryan Cranston was not a dramatic actor at this point. I'm blanking on who plays Jesse.
Aaron Paul.
Also not very dramatic actor. Bob Odenkirk was in this show. These are not dramatic actors, but somehow at some point during about halfway through the second season, they realized what they had and that these guys were doing something that was unexpected. And so it took a much darker turn in the back half of the series. But that's credit to these two right here and the relationship. I mean, the whole series is about their relationship.
And Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul have continued their relationship. I think they ended up
they have a gin company or something together.
Yeah. Tequila company.
Tequila. It's just the dynamic is so good for there being a little bit of an age gap there.
Yeah.
The relationship there is so good. I mean, he's a father figure. He's trying to teach some. I mean, it's just it's the whole the yin and yang thing we've been talking about this whole time with these characters. It's just a fantastic dynamic.
Rolling Stone says it's the 8th best duo of all time. Things didn't really end well, which is one of the difficult parts of watching Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Walter and Jesse, they go their own directions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And, you feel the pain of that relationship breaking as it goes through there. In real life, they're still good people and good friends. I was listening a couple of weeks ago. Bryan Cranston directed an episode of The Office. And so they had Bryan Cranston on for like an hour-long interview. And, of course, they talked Breaking Bad through there. And Bob Odenkirk was on an episode of The Office.
Yeah.
As a potential manager for Pam to go work for, and he was like Michael Scott 2.0.
Yeah.
He's just got that goofy.
Yeah.
You see Bob Odenkirk's character, and I almost wanted to. I would put Bob Odenkirk, if I could, into this conversation somehow.
Yeah.
Because
we'll have to do trios at some point.
you had, you had him and Kim Wexler on Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
And they were a great duo together.
They were.
On that show.
They were great.
But, man, those two guys.
The show is great. We rewatched it a couple of different times, and it doesn't miss. It doesn't disappoint. You got to be in the right frame of mind, though, to get into Breaking Bad, especially the later seasons. Like it's very
dark.
You got to have, like, and Better Call Saul, kind of the same thing, obviously. Like, we still have not finished Better Call Saul, though. But, yeah, we would always, that would be a show pre-kids we would watch, and then we would have to watch an episode of Friends or something.
Lighten the mood.
We couldn't go to bed after watching an episode of Breaking Bad. Like, that's one of those shows. What else we got?
We're quickly just kind of running out of time here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Leonard and Sheldon.
Oh, I didn't even think about them.
Leonard Hofstadter, Sheldon.
That's a great pair.
Sheldon
Cooper,
yeah.
That's a great iconic duo.
Sean and Gus.
Sean and Gus. Okay.
Talk about them.
This is one that probably, I don't know how popular Psych is. I know I talk about it to some people and they're like, I've never heard of it. But the people who love the show,
it's a travesty if people don't know the show.
It is absolutely a cult following because since the show's ended, they've done spin-off movies and stuff like that. This was classic USA days.
I was going to say, this was right in their peak. You had Monk, you had Psych, you had Burn Notice, you had White Collar. And then I don't know what USA decided to do, if they hated making money, if they hated being popular or what. But they're like, you know what? We're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. I've heard they're going back, though.
Supposedly.
Yeah. But these guys right here, man, this was I'm doing it.
Yeah, you should.
I'm by Kirk and Spock.
Oh, wait. Are you sure that you should do that?
Yes. When it comes
Don't
to
be a prisoner of the moment.
I've got Chandler, Joey, Han and Chewie, Walt and Jesse, Spock and Kirk. Who would you take off?
Yeah. These should have been 4 episodes.
We really should have. We're gonna hit end record and we're just gonna redo this over again.
This hurts me to see some of these people, and for me not to have Andy and Barney on this list, it hurts me. They each need their own bracket.
I'm surprised you didn't take it.
I'm just playing the game. I'm playing the game.
But these two, man, the dynamic is great. They are hilarious together. I mean, what else? There's so much you could say. Like, if you've never watched Psych, just trust your pals, Craig and Aaron. Go start episode 1.
If you like comedy and drama,
yeah,
it's a criminal dramedy.
Yeah, it's a procedural show. You're gonna solve a case every time.
Yeah.
Sean is a psychic. He spoiler alert. They say it pretty well the first episode. He fakes it the whole time.
Yeah,
and he uses this trick.
His dad is a detective.
Yes.
And has been for years, or was a detective.
Teaches him how to read people.
Yeah.
And
so he's like a phenomenal Sherlock. I mean, he's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Is what he is.
Yeah, he's got a great eye for that kind of stuff, and he's also not afraid to break the rules and break the law.
No.
He'll sneak into people's houses, all this stuff. All of this,
because he's not a cop.
right, to keep up the ruse that he is a psychic that's working for this police department.
He is a
contractor.
consultant.
Yeah, and so
And then you have Burton Guster.
yeah, who is Dule Hill, one of the most underrated actors of our generation. Like the dude is fantastic from everything he's been in that I've seen him in, at least. But their relationship together, again, you've got, this is one, there's really not a straight man in this. Like Bert,
He's supposed to be
Gus is he's supposed to be, but he's not.
He's not.
Just as goofy.
He's funny.
So they just,
Lassiter
Yeah.
is the straight man.
that's exactly right.
and Jules.
Yeah.
Those are the straight people in the show.
I'm gonna have to start. It's been a year since I've watched this.
If you haven't seen it, I think it's on Peacock. I think
it's on
that's
Peacock,
where
yeah.
it lives.
Their dynamic is great. They're getting into trouble and mischief and shenanigans. They are. They're like Lucy and Ethel, in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're slapstick. They're both
They are.
There's just shenanigans.
There's plenty of physical comedy in it.
It's very smart though. Also, suck it. I mean, there's just one-liners you can quote for days. This is a great series.
Yes.
If you've never watched it.
And I said that they're like a modern day Holmes and Watson duo. Benedict Cumberbatch
Mm-hmm.
and Martin.
Let's see if you can get there. I know it.
It's Martin, right?
It's Martin.
It's Martin.
Actually, now that you've said it, I can't remember
from
his
The
last
Hobbit?
name. Yeah, it's not Martin Short.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
Freeman.
There we go. Holmes, Doctor. I'm just trying to think of that. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, they might be the greatest duo of all time.
That's true.
I mean, this goes back.
They've been.
I don't know when the books were written, late 1800s, early
Maybe.
1900s.
There's been so many different iterations of them, played by so many different people. Stage,
But
radio.
But those two guys it was a show, but they felt like movies. Have you ever watched the series?
I have not watched them with Benedict. I've heard it's very good, but I heard it is long, like a movie. So
They're 90-minute episodes, so it's like a made for TV movie.
yeah,
They are must watch. They are phenomenal. I ranked them either a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 on IMDb. They are so good.
yeah.
And those two guys who have had such incredible careers, to have them playing these characters, it is must watch, and they're a great duo.
They are good. You still have a spot to fill.
I do. So tell me, I'm gonna list some people. Jerry Seinfeld and George Costanza.
They're great.
Are they worthy of 8 all time?
I don't. When I think of dynamic duos in film and TV, they're not one that comes to mind. As great
Really?
as they are, I don't think
Really?
of them as a duo because I think of the whole cast as an
Whole cast,
ensemble.
okay. I saw this one listed a lot, and I was kind of confused by it. Jack Bauer and Chloe O'Brien from 24.
See, I have not seen 24, so it's hard for me to comment.
Okay, my sister hadn't seen it either, and she started watching it a few months ago. And so I started rewatching it too. It was such a great show,
Yeah.
but it is so based on technology
Oh, so it feels dated now.
that when you go back and watch it,
Oh man.
it hurts a little bit to go back and watch that show because the technology just sort of. If you're going to watch it, you have to watch it from the mindset of what it was like when that was
It's
happening.
like Home Alone. Home Alone would not exist today.
Yeah. Yeah.
All you do is just call his phone.
I don't see how 24 in its original state exists today. And then this one was listed over and over and over again as the number one by several different places. Mulder and Scully.
Okay, if you're
And I don't understand why this is number one on so many lists.
I guess I get it.
Really?
I don't know that I get why it's
Explain
number.
it to me
I don't
then.
get why it's number one.
Okay.
I think it's worthy of being on lists. It would not sniff our list here.
It's a long running show.
Yeah. I mean,
They were great together.
they're just great partners, and I think that's just it. They were just long running partners on this show. But I mean, there's been so many other shows that have long-standing partners as well. I don't know that I mean, you have from Law and Order SVU, you've got Benson and
Never seen it.
you haven't seen
I've never seen Law
it's
and
been
Order.
on like 20 something years.
I know. It's one of the longest running shows, I think.
So I mean, there's been a lot of other iconic duos when it comes to procedural stuff like that. I mean, it's sci-fi, so the sci-fi people get out for X-Files, and
I mean, I love the X-Files. You ever watched it?
I've seen episodes. I never really
I've watched
followed it back in the day.
I don't know. I watched quite a few seasons of it. I really liked it. Another one I saw listed was the guy from the two from Twin Peaks, Agent Cooper and the sheriff that are on there. Did you ever watch Twin Peaks?
No.
Weird show. Weird show, but a cult following.
Yeah.
Following on
What
that.
about Kenan and Kel? Did you ever watch Kenan and Kel?
Nope.
That was a Nickelodeon show back in the day. That's another one that was like, I'm not going to put it on this list, but that is one that
Okay, so I have one spot that needs filled.
while you're thinking about that, it's not, it would be on my list if it wasn't, I'm playing the game just like he's playing it with Andy. Rick Grimes, Daryl Dixon, Walking Dead.
Never seen it.
All my Walking Dead people out there. Just know it would be on this list. I have not watched the new spinoff with either of them yet. It's planned watching. It's planned viewing soon, but
Give me one Dr. Leonard Hofstadter and another Dr. Sheldon Cooper.
you wanted at 3?
I want it at 3.
Okay.
Who do I have 4?
4, you have Fred and Barney.
I'm going to take Fred and Barney off of this list.
Okay.
Just go ahead and leave Barney's name there
Oh,
and erase Fred and change that to Andy. Give me Andy and Barney. Number 4.
all right. I thought you were going to go Ted and Barney from How I Met Your Mother.
Marshall and Lily.
Yeah, Marshall and Lily. That would be a good one.
We talked about,
It's coming.
there's going to be a part
It's
2
coming.
to this.
Yes.
That is on.
Which makes sense why we didn't put Lucy and Ricky on here.
You know what?
We totally did that on purpose.
Next Valentine's Day, our next
it down.
Valentine's episode, we're gonna do dynamic duo couples.
Couples. So famous couples from movie and TV. We're going to do that. Okay. We have our bracket filled out. Did you have any others you wanted to talk about?
That was everything that I wrote down. No doubt I've forgotten some.
I know we're leaving stuff off, so let us know what we've left off in the comments, and we will read off how much we got it wrong next time. Okay, let's bracket this thing out.
If you want to be the best, you have to beat the rest. This is the Best Things Bracket.
Okay, for those wondering, yes, I mentioned early in this episode we had a special segment that Aaron didn't know about. We're going to punt that to a different episode because
We're just out of time.
We are out of time. I thought, what's funny? We were going through cartoons. I was like, we're gonna cruise through this episode. I thought we were going fast, and here we are. No,
Like we said, I think we just crammed 3 episodes.
we really did. Yeah,
into one.
yeah, and it could have been 4. We could have easily kept going. Okay, we have first up Michael and Dwight. Oh my gosh, versus Sean and Gus.
This is you didn't think through your bracket.
Oh no,
You didn't think through your bracket where you put them.
this is. I'm looking at some of these matchups.
You need to hang on. You need to swap this.
I do.
Your number 2 should not be number 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
It shouldn't.
I'm trying to decide if I want to swap those two. I'm gonna put. Hey.
There you go.
Wake up. You know what? We're gonna do this. Hold on, audience listening. I'm sure this is just
it's riveting TV,
a lot of fun.
but this is last minute stuff, and it's important. We've discussed how can we make the bracket thing better. I don't know that we can. I mean, it's what we do,
It's true.
but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Trying to decide now.
which one you want number 2? I know what I would do.
What I would do too.
That's what I would do.
Okay, so revised.
Here we go.
Just ignore everything you've just heard for just the last 30 seconds. What's the best TV and movie duo of all time? First round, Michael and Dwight versus Han and Chewie. 3, 2, 1. Michael and Dwight. For the sole reason that if I moved them around, obviously they weren't going to last very long. Lucy and Ethel versus Walt and Jesse. Lucy and Ethel from I Love Lucy, Walt and Jesse from Breaking Bad. Boy, this is a match. Oh my goodness. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Walt
Lucy and Ethel.
Jesse. I don't know. I'm switching. Lucy and Ethel. I was sat there. I was like, well, how would I argue this? I don't know that I could argue it. We talked about how iconic they were, and I think recency bias was just getting a hold of me. Chandler and Joey versus Andy and Barney. We know what's happening here.
You just want to go straight to 10?
Yeah. So Chandler and Joey, 1 to 10. No, we got to do it the right way.
Okay.
Chandler and Joey, Andy and Barney, 1, 2, 3. Chandler
Andy and
Joey.
Barney.
1 to 10. Chandler and Joey, 3, 2, 1, 9. That gives it 17. Andy and Barney, 3, 2, 1, 7.
17.
17. Wow. I thought you might go 9. Okay. Chandler and Joey, 1 to 100. 3, 2, 1, 91. 86, 91. Math is hard, but we go to 177. Andy and Barney, 3, 2, 1, 79. 98, 79. Math still hard. But we go to 19, 18, 17, that's 100. Are you kidding me? No way that...
Did they tie again?
Please double check my math. I cannot believe this.
All right.
86 and 91.
177.
98 and 79.
98 and 79. I believe that's going to be 177.
Oh my gosh! Really, like the third time ever we're going to 1,000. All right, Chandler and Joey, 1 to 1,000. 3, 2, 1, 910. I'm not even going to do the math yet. Andy and Barney, 3, 2, 1,
975.
Okay, now.
All right, what'd you have on the first one?
910, 750.
1660.
1660. 975, 780.
1755.
17. Oh my gosh.
Did it?
Andy and Barney.
Oh. How did you let that happen? How did you?
Because I'm not good at math, and so I wasn't playing the game like you were. I was going with my authentic gut.
So was I.
Voting. My goodness, you just like Andy and Barney more than I like Chandler and Joey, I guess. Because I mean,
listen,
you gave them. You're just more divisive than I was, apparently.
What did I give?
You give Andy and Barney 65 points more, and you gave Chandler and Joey 30 points less than I gave them, respectively.
Okay.
That's a lot of math on my paper. I don't appreciate math on my paper or my iPad.
I am open to there being an asterisk beside this if you want to.
No, you know what? The bracket is what the bracket is.
Ultimately, this was close. We had to go to 1,000.
It's true.
Let's just move on.
Yeah. I ain't got a single thing in the fight here. Sean and Gus versus Leonard and Sheldon. I think I might squeak one through on this one. I'm glad I moved them. Sean,
This is a really good matchup here.
3, 2, 1. Sean and Gus. Okay, Michael and Dwight versus Lucy and Ethel. 3, 2, 1. Michael and Dwight.
Yeah.
Andy and Barney versus Sean and Gus. 3, 2, 1. Sean and Gus. Wow, you just playing the game?
I'm just giving that one to you. Everybody, please know that my ultimate guess, I would move Andy and Barney forward.
I would be very curious. Chandler and Joey or Sean and Gus?
Sean and Gus.
My heart would say yes. My personal take would say yes. But I think if I'm leaning into culture as a whole, more people know Chandler and Joey. So
Culture's wrong.
Michael and Dwight versus Sean and Gus. This is hard for people watching on TikTok. This may be hard for you if you don't know who Sean and Gus are. Again, go watch Psych. Just go watch it. 3, 2, 1. Sean
Michael
and Gus
and Dwight.
Said what I said. All right, Michael and Dwight. 3, 2, 1.
10.
9. Sean and Gus. 3, 2, 1.
9.
18. Michael and Dwight. Congratulations. They are, according to this bracket, the best duo in film and TV.
We really didn't get into a lot of film.
We really didn't. Are there any?
Han and Chewie.
Is that it? Wow. That really is it.
And we mentioned Thelma and Louise.
Right.
I think there could be an entire film
There could be.
duo.
Maybe we can come back and revisit that one then.
I mean, we mentioned Woody and Buzz. I'm a little surprised you didn't put Woody and Buzz on the list.
I thought about it, and in hindsight, I probably should have, although I don't know who I would have taken away.
Man. Again,
Yeah.
each one of these could have been its own bracket.
And just a heads up, we may come back and do individual ones and may disagree with ourselves and contradict ourselves at some point.
They might be shorter episodes, too.
Yeah, maybe. Let's do this quickly.
It may be the best thing today, but is it the best thing of all time? It's time for the best thing battle.
Okay, we're going to look. I don't think we updated our board.
I don't think we did either.
So we're going to look at our own history real quick. Cheesy foods, mac and cheese. Michael and Dwight versus mac and cheese. M and D versus M and C. This is tough. This is tricky. But we got to make a decision. 3, 2, 1.
Mac and
Michael
cheese.
and Dwight. Really? Wow. Didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see that either. I don't want to live life without mac and cheese, though.
But I don't have it that often.
What's wrong with you?
I know. I mean, my metabolism. That's what's wrong with me.
Well, I mean, it's not. It ain't health food. That's for sure.
Okay, Michael and Dwight, 1 to 10, 3.
Hang on. Why? I gave my reason.
Well, why was you? Did you know you didn't? You just said you didn't want to live
I
without.
don't want to live without mac and cheese. I mean, it's.
I don't want to live without Michael and Dwight. I'm kidding. I don't know. I just think
Give me a reason to come over to that side.
I would I consume more Michael and Dwight than I do mac and cheese.
Wow. And I thought I was the Michael Dwight consumer.
I mean, that just tells you. I mean, how little I consume mac and cheese.
I think there's something there that needs to be thought about.
Well, do we do it via numbers or do we hash this out? We just broke the record for the longest episode ever. So.
I don't know. What is our criteria?
I mean, I think always it comes down to you can only have one. Which one do you want?
I want mac and cheese.
Okay, let's go to the numbers then. Convince me. I mean, what, like, you wanted me to bring you to my side. You bring me to your side.
I didn't know mac and cheese needed convincing. I mean, I thought mac and cheese, the words themselves were convincing enough.
I'm going to close my eyes. Just describe it real quick. Just talk about mac and cheese for just like, give me 10 seconds of mac and cheese talk.
I was going to make the noise of mixing mac and cheese. We won't do that, though.
That's going to pull me the other way. Let's go to the cards. Michael and Dwight, 3, 2, 1.
Mac and cheese.
We're going numbers.
Oh.
Michael and Dwight, 3, 2, 1.
92.
9. We're going to 10.
10. Oh. I don't know how we do this.
Okay, we're going 1 to 10 on just Michael and Dwight.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, 9. And then mac and cheese, 3, 2, 1, 9. Going to 100.
You wanted me to say 10, didn't you?
I did.
You wanted me to say 10.
We're going to go mac and cheese. I know where this is leading. You convinced me whether you realized you did it or not. I just wanted to make it feel closer than it was.
I don't know. Last night I used Kenji's 3-ingredient mac and cheese and made it like 6 ingredients. It was twice as good. I added some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano to it, extra sharp cheddar cheese, evaporated milk, some American cheese, cavatappi noodles.
Sounds good.
Little squirt of
that's what
Dijon mustard, some hot
that helped
sauce.
convince me.
It was.
You should have mentioned that in those 10 seconds.
I had that with those ribs that I showed you. Got a rack of ribs from Night Fire Barbecue in town.
I got a rack of ribs I'm going to smoke in my fridge right now.
It's going to be a good day then.
Yeah. Okay. Surely you have nothing else. I
No.
don't think either one of us have anything else. We might not do another episode now. We're talked out.
Apologies to the listeners.
Yeah. So listen to this one on. Well, you're already at the end. I was going to say listen to this one at 2 times.
They're going to break this one up into multiple segments or unsubscribe one.
We might as well just keep going at this point, because if you're listening an hour and 41 minutes into this, then we can just sit here and talk forever.
It's becoming an audiobook.
Apparently, yeah. All right. For the best thing, I'm not even going to ask you. For the best things, I'm Craig.
I'm Aaron.
We'll talk at you next time. Go watch Psych.
Eat some mac and cheese.
Thanks for listening to the Best Things Podcast. If you liked today's episode, subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening now. And remember, connect with us on the socials at Best Things Pod, and you may hear your take on an upcoming episode.